to break down any connections they had.
Moving on to story number 2, you guys. Story number 2 is quite a fiasco. More than 90,000 South Australian public servants were now breached in a payroll data breach. South Australia's treasurer says 13,000 current and former public servants, more than previously thought, had their personal information stolen in a cyber attack last year. What do you have to say about this?
I have a dubious history with the Australian authorities that prevents me from answering honestly.
Did you start?
Well, like it was 90,000 people, but how many like kangaroos and wombats?
Yeah.
80% of them were kangaroos and wombats and Tasmanian devils. This is South Australia, so.
And then they have to go pay PwC another $500,000 to find the last 13,000. 6 months later, it's just a gravy train. It's a gravy train.
It sounded like it was more. Yeah, you're right, Paul.
Australia, the gravy
That was
train
amazing
goes the
thing.
other way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going the other way.
They discovered this through an audit. I mean, it was
It's
like,
such a racket. It is such a racket.
And what is even in those personnel files? Does it say? Do we have it?
Let me.
Jeff is above average. He's a good worker.
No, but they talked about it in one of the other breaches. It's like, so the IT team, I think it was Parker Hannafin, the IT team actually has to try to do something, right? So like they shut down networks, so they try to contain the problem. But all the rest is like just spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and do more investigation and then blah, blah, blah. It's just like,
yeah, it was pretty amazing. Like how many dingoes you own, how many cockatoos you own.
Dingo ate my
Oh my
teeth.
God, cockatoos might be compromised.
Wait.
I bet the HR files have like Bob was bitten by a snake on Tuesday, out for 3 days. Like drop bear incident in the parking lot, 3 employees injured.
Reason for PTO.
I would read every file with glee.
disability claim denied.
Can you get drop bear insurance? Because
But if there's no such company as Dingo Security, I think what we really need is a subsidiary only owned and operated in Australia.
Yeah.
real question. If you were a victim of this, would you have to sue in kangaroo court?
Yes.
Or another is, would your boomerang come back?
Well, the problem is they're all.
I think that's bingo. That was all the terms that I was betting on.
The problem is that's
Bingo.
it's honestly all their public servants, which is really sad.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what the government.
And the tagline could say, and his boomerang finally came back.
Yeah, it was a forensic review. They didn't know this was happening. It was just an audit that they discovered that this happened. Crazy.
Took a year to figure out.
A year. It's literally a year.
We can only hope for that number not to rise the next year.
Well, once
On-
again, the
on-
person
on the
actually
next-
hurt is the consumer, or in this case, the civil servant.
Right.
You know, it's not the investigative firm that's hurting. It's not the government that's hurting. It's the individual worker. Do you think that they opted in to that database? You know,
No.
Well, this was a payroll service. That was,
yeah, and we
Yeah.
talked about this, right? It's an irrevocable identity. You got to tell them everything about yourself forever, and that's what it is. So they have to protect it forever. And they're like, oops, we protected it for 0 days.
Well, they said the files were only accessible on the dark net for less than 24 hours.
Okay.
So come on, guys. Your personal information was only on the dark net for like a day. Okay, like what's the worst that could happen?
One of my
It's not
favorite
that serious.
One of my favorite games to play here is to look up companies that end up on the breach list and
Yeah.
then see when they were in the Nordstrom breach. Because for some reason, the Nordstrom breach is super prolific. It's like literally same day and or next day. 24 hours is a.
After Nordstrom. Yeah,